You're not undisciplined, you're just unprogrammed. The alarm goes off at 6 a.m. You tap snooze. Once. Twice. 5 times. You don't leap out of bed, you curl deeper into the sheets, bargaining with time, your goals dissolving under the weight of just 5 more minutes. And when you finally rise, it's not with power, it's with regret. But let's get one thing clear. You're not lazy, you're not weak, you're not broken. You're just running on a system that was never designed for the life you say you want. You don't need more hustle culture. You don't need another productivity hack from someone who wakes up at 4:30 to drink kale and ice. What you need is a new operating system, a protocol, one that makes execution automatic and hesitation irrelevant. And that's exactly what this is. In the next few minutes, you're not going to be told to read more books or meditate in a Himalayan cave. You're going to recode your mental architecture, 12 ancient laws reimagined for the modern world, drawn from the brutal clarity of Stoic philosophy and the unforgiving precision of artificial intelligence. This is mental protocol, 12 executable commands to restore order, override emotion, and become the kind of person even Marcus Aurelius would nod at if he saw you today. Let's install. 1. Respect protocol. Discipline begins the moment you decide you are worthy of it. You'll show up for your boss. You'll return a friend's message. You'll apologize if you're 5 minutes late to a Zoom call. But when it comes to the promise you made to yourself, that you'd wake up early, that you'd work on your dream project, that you'd finally get serious, suddenly that promise becomes optional, delayable, forgettable. It's not that you don't care, it's that, deep down, you don't believe your own voice deserves the same weight as someone else's. This isn't laziness. This is quiet, unconscious self-betrayal. The Stoics saw it clearly. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And freedom, to them, wasn't about doing whatever you want. It was about doing what's right, even when no one's watching. Discipline, then, is not external enforcement. It's internal allegiance. It's waking up not because someone will notice, but because you matter enough to rise. It's keeping your word not because there's applause waiting, but because your own respect is the reward. Self-command is not a performance. It's the baseline of a life well lived. Now imagine your mind as an AI model. It learns from input. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," and don't, you're feeding that system garbage. Every broken promise becomes corrupted data. And just like any machine learning model, your internal system begins to degrade. You teach your mind not to believe your intentions, not to act, not to trust. Eventually, your own words lose meaning first, subtly, then completely. But there's a way back. It starts with a single true signal. One small commitment, kept with intention. Write something simple. "I will write for 15 minutes today." Keep it. Let your subconscious see that your voice means something again. One action, one result. That's how self-trust returns incrementally, but irrevocably. Discipline, in this view, is no longer a burden. It becomes a form of self-respect in motion. A declaration that says, "I count. My time counts. My word counts. So don't scroll past this. Don't store it in your notes app and forget. Right now, write down one thing you'll do in the next 24 hours, not to prove anything to anyone else, but to prove to yourself that your voice has value again. write it, do it, keep it. That's where mental order begins, not with motivation, not with pressure, but with the quiet revolution of finally showing up for yourself. 2. Structure protocol. You're not broken, you're just operating inside chaos. Try working in a room that's been ransacked, clothes everywhere, food wrappers, dirty mugs, cables curled like snakes. Now try focusing, thinking clearly, planning the future. You can't, not because you're weak, but because your environment is shouting over your mind. Now, imagine this. What if your mental space looks exactly like that room? Half-finished thoughts, pings from every app, guilt from yesterday, worry for tomorrow. No wonder you feel scattered. You're not lazy, you're overloaded, disorganized, fragmented. The Stoics knew that order wasn't about control, it was about clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Let your thoughts be disciplined like soldiers in formation." That's not poetic, it's tactical. Your mind, if left unchecked, becomes a mob. But structured, it becomes a legion. And the difference between failure and flow isn't always motivation. It's often architecture. You don't need more willpower, you need more design. Kỷ luật không thể nảy mầm trên nền hỗn độn. It needs clean space, clear hours, defined effort. Artificial intelligence makes this brutally obvious. A model without a clear API doesn't function. There's no request, no prompt, no output, just a frozen engine. And that's exactly what's happening to your mind when everything blurs together. No start, no stop, no structure. You want results, but you haven't declared what to do, when to do it, or why it matters. You're pinging the system with noisy and wondering why nothing coherent comes out. It's not your mind that's broken, it's your calendar. Here's how you reclaim structure without becoming a robot. Try the 3 block time rule. Divide your day into 3 big, breathable blocks. Morning, afternoon, evening. In each block, assign 1 primary focus. That's it. 1, not 7. Don't chase every goal in every hour. Make space for deep work, for recovery, for living. Structure is not prison, it's protection. It doesn't strangle creativity. It protects it from the constant onslaught of the unnecessary. So today, before the world steals your schedule, do this. Draw 3 boxes. Morning, block A. Afternoon, block B. Evening, block C. Fill each with 1 sacred task. Don't let anything else compete. Then run your life like a stoic general, not a frazzled foot soldier. You'll be amazed how clear your mind becomes when it's no longer trying to sprint through a swamp of everything. Structure isn't about perfection, it's about peace, and your mind, your mission deserves nothing less. 3. Action override. You don't need to feel ready, you need to move. There's a lie that's been programmed deep into our culture. You have to feel it to begin. You need clarity before commitment. You need motivation before motion. So you wait. You wait until the timing feels right, until your energy feels perfect, until your mood lines up with your goals. But the truth is brutal and simple. If you wait to feel ready, you'll wait forever. Because readiness is not the signal, it's the reward. You don't move because you're ready. You become ready because you moved. The Stoics didn't negotiate with their moods. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. He didn't say, wait until you feel like it. He said, rise, act, be human. In Stoicism, action is not reactive, it's directive. They understood that your emotions are weather, but your duties are steel. One changes, the other stands. So when the storm hits, you don't ask the sky for permission, you go. Because if you don't override hesitation with motion, hesitation becomes your habit. Artificial intelligence doesn't wait for inspiration. It responds to prompt. You send input. The model doesn't say, give me a minute, I'm not in the mood. It just runs. And the more direct the prompt, the clearer the output. Your brain is no different. Hesitation is just a delay in signal execution. The longer you wait, the more corrupted the signal becomes. Your rational mind gets hijacked by excuses. But the moment you move even slightly, you reboot the system. You replace ambiguity with clarity. You switch from passive loop to action loop. So here's the override, the 2-minute ignition protocol. Whatever you're resisting, writing, reading, stretching, cleaning, commit to 2 minutes. No commitment beyond that. Just start. Right now. Don't wait until the end of this article. Don't overthink. Don't negotiate. Just stand up. Open the file. Lace the shoes. Begin. That first ripple breaks the still water of inertia, and inertia, once cracked, cannot hold you. This is not trickery. This is physics. Objects in motion stay in motion. Do not expect passion. Do not wait for power. Just begin. Begin ugly. Begin slow. Begin unsure. But begin. Discipline is not what you feel before you move. It's what you gain from having moved when you didn't feel anything at all. Because every time you override emotion with execution, you rewire your identity. From reactor to creator, from dreamer to doer. So ask yourself right now, what's the one thing I've been putting off? Choose it. Stand up. Start it. 2 minutes. Go. 4. Self-code matching. True discipline begins the moment your rules match your nature. He tried waking up at 4:30 like Elon Musk. Drank black coffee, blocked out his calendar, built a cold shower routine, timed to the second. By week 3, he was exhausted, irritated, and quietly breaking down. Not because he lacked discipline, but because he was trying to wear someone else's mind like a suit that didn't fit. He was a deep-thinking, slow-starting, inner-vision kind of person, but he forced himself into someone else's rhythm, and unsurprisingly, his system crashed. Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we mimic the routines of strangers and expect them to lead us home? Why do we assume that winning means copying the blueprint of the loudest person in the room? The truth is quieter and older. The Stoics called it living in accordance with nature. That didn't mean hugging trees. It meant aligning your actions with your true internal architecture. Seneca once wrote, "A man who follows someone else not only goes astray, but doesn't even know he's astray." You are not here to duplicate. You are here to distill. AI doesn't run on a one-size-fits-all model. The best systems are fine-tuned, personalized, calibrated. Your mind is no different. You weren't built with factory settings. You are a custom model. You've been trained by your childhood, your traumas, your dreams, your wins, your losses. And yet you try to optimize like you're someone else's code base. That's why you burn out. That's why nothing sticks. Because what you need isn't more effort, it's more alignment. Don't mimic the machine next to you, train your own. So here's your alignment check. Write down 3 time windows during your day when your energy naturally peaks. Morning light, late night stillness, a 2 p.m. surge after a walk. Find them, circle them, then guard them. These are not random hours. They are your neural prime time. Build your rhythm around them, not someone else's podcast, not a billionaire's schedule, yours. When your discipline grows from your own soil, it takes root deeper, it lasts longer. It doesn't require constant motivation, it feeds itself. Pause now, no pressure, just observation. When are you most alive? When do your thoughts feel sharpest? That's your real calendar hidden beneath the noise. So stop chasing perfect routines and start extracting your natural ones. You are not a copy, you are the code. Write it, run it, refine it. That's how mental order becomes self-sustaining. 5. Signal rewire. Your brain isn't broken, it's just been trained by the wrong rewards. Every time you scroll, swipe, tap, refresh, your brain learns. It learns that novelty means pleasure, that speed equals value, that silence equals boredom. And slowly, invisibly, your internal compass fractures. You start chasing whatever gives the fastest hit, the easiest win, the loudest feedback. But dopamine is not evil. It's just information. It's your brain's way of saying, "This matters. Do it again." The problem is, it can't tell the difference between what's genuinely valuable and what's just visually noisy. This is where the Stoics saw through time. Long before algorithms, Marcus Aurelius warned, "Just because something gives you pleasure doesn't mean it's good." Seneca asked, "Are you really doing what matters, or merely what distracts?" They knew that the mind can be tricked by stimulation. True joy, to them, was rooted in meaningful effort, not shallow indulgence. And unless we learn to separate the pleasant from the purposeful, we'll forever mistake comfort for fulfillment. In AI, the same principle governs success or collapse. Reinforcement learning trains a model based on rewards. But if the reward signal is poorly defined, if the model is taught to maximize clicks instead of insight, it optimizes for attention, not truth. It becomes dangerous, misaligned. The same happens in you. When your mind starts linking dopamine to likes, distractions, junk input, it becomes optimized for emptiness. And soon, discipline doesn't feel hard. It feels impossible, because your system now rewards the wrong behaviors. So, how do we fix this? With clarity, with deliberate rewiring. Today, create your dopamine menu. A simple list of 5-10 small actions that feel good and do good. Walking in sunlight, finishing a paragraph, deep breathing, cold water on your face, a 10-minute flow session. These are micro rewards, but they realign your signal loop. You're not removing pleasure, you're redefining it. You're training your brain to crave what nourishes, not what numbs. Now pause. Before your mind asks, "Is this worth it?" remind yourself, the old system trained you to ask that about things that matter. Reading, writing, reflecting. But you never ask that about the 5th TikTok in a row. That's not choice, that's conditioning. Break the loop. Choose your rewards like a philosopher. Define your signal like a coder. And remember, your future self is built from the signals you reinforce today. So train your joy wisely. Your mind is listening. 6. Tracking loop. If you don't measure it, you don't improve it. You think you're working hard. You feel busy. You're constantly moving, scrolling, switching tabs, writing ideas in your head. But stop for a second. Can you prove any of it? Where is the log? Where is the evidence? You say you've been consistent, but consistent with what? You believe you're growing, but growth leaves a trace. Progress has a pattern. And when you don't track anything, what you really train is delusion, not discipline. The Stoics weren't obsessed with goals. They were obsessed with clarity. Epictetus urged students to examine their actions each day. Marcus Aurelius turned his mornings and nights into mirror time, reflecting, recording, recalibrating. Journaling wasn't therapy. It was training. A soldier polishes his blade. A Stoic polishes his day with ink. Because you can't sharpen what you never see clearly. Without the habit of self-tracking, you're not evolving. You're just looping. Modern AI systems don't optimize on belief. They optimize on data. Feedback loops are sacred. You input, you observe the result, and you adjust. No log, no learning, no tracking, no tuning. In reinforcement learning, if the model doesn't log its previous moves and outcomes, it can't update its weights, it can't grow, and neither can you. If you keep guessing, assuming, estimating, you're not improving, you're just hoping. Hope is not a method, tracking is. So here's your mental protocol. For the next 7 days, choose one thing, just one, and track it daily. Not everything, not a dozen habits, just one signal. Sleep hours, reading minutes, page count, cold showers. Choose your signal and log it, not for perfection, but for awareness. Use your phone notes, a sticky pad, a spreadsheet, whatever feels easy enough to stick. This isn't about self-punishment, it's about self-illumination. Because once a behavior is visible, it becomes influenceable. Think of this like sonar. The ocean of your days is deep. You swim, unaware of your patterns. But tracking sends a ping. It bounces back with clarity. You see what's working, what's drifting, what's real. And suddenly, improvement isn't a mystery, it's a map. So don't just work hard, work visibly, track one thing, honor it, observe without judgment. Let the data speak louder than the drama. And soon, you won't need to guess whether you're becoming stronger. You'll know. 7. Future witness. Act as if your future self is watching, because it is. Imagine a single camera mounted silently on the ceiling of your room. It doesn't blink, it doesn't judge, but it sees every scroll, every pause, every time you say, "I'll start soon," every moment you shrink from your potential. Now imagine that behind that lens is you, not the you of now, but the you of 5 years from now, wiser, sharper, quieter. That version of you is watching not to shame you, but to witness what you're choosing to become. This isn't fantasy. This is a tool. Visualization is one of the oldest Stoic techniques. They practiced premeditatio malorum, imagining the worst to act with grace. But here, you reverse the lens. You imagine the best possible version of yourself and then ask, what would he think of me now? Marcus Aurelius said it in one sentence that still shakes the bones. You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow. The future isn't waiting, it's watching, and it remembers. In machine learning, the output always comes from the prompt. You shape the result by what you feed the system. Garbage in, garbage out. Precision in, power out. The model doesn't become great by accident. It becomes great because it was trained by someone who cared about the input. Your life works the same. Every decision you make today is a prompt to your future self. The food you eat, the words you speak, the hour you sleep, all of it compiles. You don't get the future you want, you get the future you rehearsed. So here's your experiment. Write a letter, not to someone else, but from your future self 5 years older, 5 years stronger, 5 years more awake. Let them speak to you. Tell yourself what they wish you knew sooner, what they hope you never forget, what habits changed everything, what lies you stopped telling yourself. Let the voice be firm but kind. Let it speak the truth only you can say to yourself. And then, when you're done, don't discard it. Read it every morning this week. Let it be the silent coach you didn't know you needed. Close your eyes tonight. Picture that wiser version of you, standing in the doorway of your day, watching, not to criticize, but to remind that your actions echo forward. That time is not a ladder, it's a loop. That what you choose now is not lost. It's recorded, in memory, in muscle, in motion. So act today as if someone meaningful is watching, because they are. That person is you. 8. Emotional currency. Every choice you make is paid in either regret or pride. Your emotions are the currency. In today's world, decisions don't feel expensive. Skip the gym no one calls, scroll an hour no siren sounds, delay that project again no one notices. Everything seems free, but it's not. Every micro-avoidance is a tiny emotional tax, and over time, they add up to a bankrupt identity, because whether you act or avoid, you pay. The difference is this: action hurts now but heals later. Avoidance feels good now but steals from your future. The Stoics never sugar-coated pain. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Marcus Aurelius saw suffering as a forge, but what made them different was this: they didn't just endure pain, they used it. They turned discomfort into a mirror and meaning, and that's what we must reclaim. In a world chasing numbness, your ability to feel deeply and assign value to feeling becomes your most powerful metric. In machine learning, every failure, every misfire is still data. You don't delete it, you learn from it, you tag it, you optimize from it. No training set is perfect, what matters is how it's weighed. Your life is no different. The day you broke down, the opportunity you missed, the guilt you carried, none of it is wasted unless you refuse to price it correctly. Your emotions aren't weaknesses, they are weights. Used right, they make you stronger. Here's your calibration ritual. Today, draw 2 columns. If I keep delaying, if I start today, then fill them not with tasks, but with emotions. Write what regret tastes like, what pride would feel like. Describe the tension, the guilt, the joy, the lightness. Make your internal currency visible. Every morning, read it. Let it remind you. You're always paying with something. The question isn't, should I act? It's, what am I willing to pay for this in the long run? Pause now. The feed will still be there. The distractions aren't going anywhere. But neither is your dream. Neither is your quiet voice asking, What if I just began? So choose what to fund today. Will you invest in delay, or will you pay up front with a bit of discomfort and buy back your pride? Because in this life, emotion is not the enemy, it's the receipt. Every feeling is proof of a transaction. Read it carefully, then act like your future depends on what it says, because it does. 9. Silence, discipline. The loudest transformation is the one no one hears happening. You've seen them, the ones who say nothing, who don't post progress pics, who don't announce day one every other Monday. They just show up, quietly, repeatedly. They disappear into early mornings and late nights, into repetition and sweat. No applause, no recognition, but months pass and they emerge. Stronger, sharper, different. You wonder when it happened. It didn't happen in a moment. It happened in silence. The Stoics had a word for this kind of power. Eucharia, the ability to seize the right moment without the need to declare it. Marcus Aurelius never boasted. Epictetus didn't preach discipline. He lived it. In Meditations, Marcus wrote not to impress others, but to remind himself. That's the essence of true practice. It doesn't need validation. Its reward is internal alignment. If others notice, fine. If not, still fine. In AI, the most critical part of development isn't the flashy output, it's the quiet training. The dataset doesn't brag. The model doesn't explain its learning. It just improves, line by line, epoch by epoch, silent discipline. And when it's finally deployed, when it infers with elegance, it's not because it was seen, it's because it was trained. Alone, uncelebrated, precise. Progress isn't always public, but it is always earned. So here's your challenge. Choose one habit, small, clear, meaningful, and tell no one. Not your friends, not your partner, not your followers. Let it be sacred between you and your becoming. Wake up earlier. Do 10 push-ups. Meditate 5 minutes. Learn one word. Track it in secret. Honor it with privacy. Because some seeds grow best in the dark. This is not shame. It's sovereignty. What you do when no one's watching becomes who you are when everyone is. This week, withdraw a little from the noise. Just a little. One less post. One more private win. Don't document. Don't declare. Just do. Quietly, repeatedly, until the habit becomes bone deep. Until the shift is irreversible. Until someone says, "You've changed," and you smile, knowing the truth. I've been changing for a while. You're just now catching up. 10. Mercy structure. Discipline is not cruelty. It's compassion wearing armor. Somewhere along the way, we were told that structure is punishment, that routine is for the weak, that scheduling your day means killing your freedom. So we rebel. We let chaos in, call it creativity. We cancel, alarms, call it self-love. But what happens? We forget promises. We burn out. We disappoint ourselves quietly. And then comes the shame spiral. Not because we had too much discipline, but because we didn't have enough kindness in the form of structure. The Stoics understood this. Discipline to them wasn't self-hatred, it was self-honoring. Seneca reminded us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But mastery wasn't about suppression. It was about building a container strong enough to hold our best intentions. A structure not to cage us, but to protect our energy, our clarity, our time. You don't build walls to imprison yourself. You build them to keep out the noise. In AI, no model improves in chaos. The best outputs come from the cleanest pipelines. The most powerful systems rely on architecture, stable, repeatable, measurable. No one calls a well-engineered pipeline restrictive. We call it efficient, smart, resilient. Why should your life be any different? Your time is precious compute. Don't waste it rerouting every day. Build a rhythm that lets your mind breathe and your soul land. Here's a gentle frame to start with. Each day, identify 3 actions that serve others. Respond with kindness. Deliver your work. Offer support. Then, mark 3 acts that serve you. Read, breathe, walk, rest. No alarms, no checkboxes, just attention. When you structure your day with balance giving and receiving, you begin to feel not trapped, but held, not obligated, but oriented. So next time someone says, discipline is harsh, smile, because you know better now. Discipline, true discipline, is the most merciful gift you can give yourself. It says, I care enough to not abandon myself in distraction. It says, my time matters, my energy matters, I matter. And that's not rigidity, that's grace. 11. So, what firewall? You don't need a softer excuse. You need a clearer decision. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they allow a small, silent voice in their head to speak with too much authority. That voice doesn't shout. It doesn't insult. It simply whispers things like, I'm tired, or I don't feel ready yet, or maybe tomorrow would be better. And because those words sound gentle, even self-compassionate, we let them pass as truth. But they're not truth. They're hesitation, dressed up in the language of care. And if you give them power, they will gently, quietly, politely sabotage your future. The Stoics never asked how they felt before they acted. They didn't need to feel ready to rise. They acted because it was time, not because it was convenient. Epictetus reminded us, you are capable of enduring more than you believe, and that wasn't some motivational quote for morning coffee. It was a direct call to recognize that your discomfort does not define your threshold, that you are not required to agree with your moods, that you don't need to feel okay to do what must be done. When resistance shows up, when the mind offers delay in the name of logic, you don't have to argue with it. You only need to respond with one line, clean and unwavering. So what? Artificial intelligence doesn't break down when it receives imperfect input. It doesn't pause to question its own worth when an output fails. It reruns the model. It adapts. It learns. It doesn't treat error as identity. It treats it as feedback. Likewise, your brain is not a truth-telling oracle. It's a pattern machine. When it learns that a little discomfort equals permission to stop, it will serve that excuse more frequently. But if you meet that excuse with motion-if, you override its power with behavior, you rewire your pattern, you retrain the model, you become the prompt, not the hesitation. Here's the practice. Identify 3 of your default excuses, the ones that arrive like clockwork when the work matters most. Maybe it's, I don't have time, or I'm too tired, or I'm not good enough yet. Then, next to each one, write the most unromantic, liberating response you can muster. So what? Not because the excuse is entirely invalid, but because it is entirely irrelevant to the action that needs to happen next. I'm tired. So what? Start anyway. I'm not ready. So what? Readiness is a side effect of beginning. I might fail again. So what? Failure is just training if you refuse to quit. You don't need to bully yourself into action. You just need to stop confusing hesitation with authority. The moment you decide that feeling tired is not the end of the conversation, but merely the start of a new response, you begin to build an identity rooted not in how you feel, but in what you do despite how you feel. This is the firewall, not built from pressure, but from perspective. When the voice rises again, and it always will, you won't panic, you won't plead, and you won't wait. You'll pause, let the excuse land, and answer back not with fury, not with force, but with the most disciplined clarity a human can have. So what? And then you'll move. 12. Zero delay initiator. You don't need more time. You need less delay. Most people don't miss their goals because they lack ambition or intelligence. They miss because they delay. They push back small actions by small margins, thinking it doesn't matter, thinking there will be time later. But delay has a compounding cost. You think you're postponing a task. What you're really postponing is the person you could become by doing it. And the more times you delay, the more you train your nervous system to expect delay. You normalize hesitation. You make it familiar. And what is familiar soon becomes identity. The Stoics saw this danger early. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You live as if you were immortal, and your own fragility never occurs to you." That wasn't a philosophical warning, it was a behavioral challenge. Every moment you wait, you are living a life you didn't choose, one chosen for you by resistance, distraction, and fear. Action to a Stoic wasn't something you did when you felt like it. It was how you fought entropy, how you fought self-deception. The strongest action is not the biggest, it's the one that happens now. Because now is the only moment that's not a story in your head. In artificial intelligence, there's a concept called latency, the delay between input and response. The lower the latency, the better the system performs. A model that responds instantly is seen as powerful, precise, optimized. But a system that takes too long, no matter how intelligent, becomes irrelevant. That's not just a tech insight, it's a mirror. You are the model. Life is the prompt. And your latency is your discipline. If you want to be powerful, you can't just make decisions, you have to execute before your mind starts negotiating. So here's the initiator protocol. Pick one thing, just one that you've been meaning to do. Maybe it's a message you need to send, a paragraph you need to write, a set of clothes you need to fold, a truth you need to admit. The size doesn't matter, the signal does. The instruction is simple. Do it in the next 10 minutes. Not after this video. Not tonight. Not when I finish reading. Now. You are not waiting for readiness. You are becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait. Because this is where discipline begins and ends, not in rules or routines, but in response time. When the world knocks, you open. When the idea sparks, you chase. When the work calls, you begin. No delay, no drama, just motion. And if there's a voice in your head saying, "What if I'm not ready?" you already know the answer. You don't need ready, you need to move. You need to act before your fear finishes forming its sentence. You need to crush latency with immediacy. So choose the task. Stand up, start it. Not because it's perfect, not because you're fearless, but because this moment, this exact one, is all you ever had, and you're not going to waste it. Before you try to fix the world, fix the architecture of your mind, because chaos out there is nothing compared to the confusion in here. You chase productivity, purpose, peace, but without a protocol, all your efforts turn to noise. You don't need louder motivation. You need quieter alignment. You need a system that replaces emotion with execution, confusion with clarity, delay with discipline. That system is not a cage. It's not punishment. It's not shame wrapped in scheduling. It is light, and it's the kind of light that doesn't blind, it reveals. It shows you who you are when the noise fades, when the lies fall off, when your habits speak louder than your hope. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It's the gatekeeper to your future self. So maybe no one will clap when you rise early. Maybe no one will notice when you say no to distraction, when you choose structure over chaos. But you'll know, and that quiet, knowing, that growing alignment between what you say and what you do will change everything. If even one part of this hits something real inside you, leave a single line below this video. Not for views, not for applause, just for you. I rise, I act, even when I don't feel like it. Let it be your first declaration. Let it mark the moment you didn't just absorb another idea, but installed a new system. Welcome to your mental order. Welcome to Stoic Wisdom.